Hello, all, and welcome. Last episode, we continued our conversation on employee and business resource groups with Guido Minaya and Monica Skladowski, chair of Nokia's HISPA Professionals in Technology ERG organization. In this next episode, we have a new guest that is joining us via Zoom, Joey Aviles, transformational speaker, lead researcher, and executive coach. For this episode, once again, our moderator is Dr. Guido Minaya, CEO and Chief Learning Officer of Minaya Learning Global Solutions. Stay tuned to learn more. Hello, Dr. Minaya. Welcome back to the show. We have a new guest today as well, Joey Aviles. Welcome, Joey. As a brief intro, Joey Aviles is ranked as LinkedIn's top voice in racial equity and featured as an inclusion innovator by the Society of Human Resources Management, SHRM. He is the former chief of D&I at an 88,000 people organization. His strategic insights have guided giants, including Visa, Ferrera, AutoNation, Wawa, Ulta Beauty, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Dell Technologies, the FDIC, FBI, Peace Corps, NASA, and the Department of Defense. Wow, Joey, that is quite a background. I'm excited to hear more from the both of you. Dr. Minaya, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you, Dario. It's great to be back on the show. Joey, it is so great to have you on as our guest today. I look forward to having a great conversation on your insights, leading an ERG, and my goodness, just your wealth of experience. And Joey, we have a common colleague, well, a couple of common colleagues, Cindy Ryan and Cecilia Chavez. And Cindy is the one that absolutely did a phenomenal favor in introducing us to you. And I am so glad of that. So
I love Cindy. I love Cecilia, and we have so much history, so many good people, Dr. Minaya. So I'm glad that we are connected.
I'm excited for our listeners to hear a little bit more about your background and how you became involved in an ERG.
So as you know, I'm originally from the island of Puerto Rico, right? And I bring that culture and that heritage to every single engagement. So I grew up in a little town called San Sebastian, and I like to joke that at the time, listen, I grew up with salsa and merengue, rice and beans. We did not speak English in our household. Yet I had this dream of starting a career in United States, specifically Washington, D.C. And what did I do? I applied for an internship program with the Hispanic Association of Colleges and Universities. ACU. And they had, this summer internship. And, to my surprise, they gave me a call back. And listen, I will never forget that call because the lady was speaking English. And the only word I heard was selected. And my only response was yes. End of the story. Listen, I've been hustling since then. That was the summer of 2007. And as a minority in this wonderful country, I was afforded remarkable opportunities, particularly in the federal government. So after that internship opportunity, I was probably 23, 24 years at the time. And I wanted to go up. I wanted to advance, get promoted. So what did I do? I volunteered. I got trained. I got a myriad of opportunities. And one of those opportunities came in the form of a national employee resource group. And at the time, they were focused on young people. And I'm saying young with quotation marks because we left that definition up to the person reading the name. You could feel like you could be new into government, so that could be young. You could be young in age. So we did not discriminate it, but we brought together over 12,000 people across government agencies, state, local, federal, and we created an organization to better support young government employees throughout their careers. And that's how I started my leadership career, getting out there, leading a national ERG in Washington, D.C. That's how everything started, Guido.
Wow, very exciting. As you think back at that history, what led you to be excited to be part of that organization and then become the chair?
You know, and this is something that I admire about ERGs. ERGs have the potential to open doors, open opportunities that may take decades to be open. And I went ahead and I continue my journey in ERGs because it gave me access to places that would have taken me decades to get access to. That's number one. Number two, it allowed me to practice my leadership skills. And number three, it helped me have an impact in the community. So those three ingredients have, have been present in my work with ERGs across government as well as in the private sector. So I always, when I am offering mentoring or guidance to ERG leaders, I always say, make sure that you see a connection to the advancement of your career, the advancement of your organization, and the advancement of the people that you are serving to. When those three ingredients are present, it makes so much sense to continue to volunteer and give access to opportunities.
I recall, some of my experiences as an ERG chair where our meetings, right, were chief legal officer, chief HR officer, and this is at AT&T. And AT&T at the time probably had about 200,000 employees. And to be in a private meeting to discuss your organization and to be able to also educate those senior leaders on how those organizations can provide value to the larger company. That was such a blessing, great learning experience, of course, for us, as for you, for me, as ERG leaders, but also such a good value back to our larger organizations on better understanding us. So yeah, those
Yes,
those are exciting opportunities.
I love that so much because, in my case, it was very early on in my career. So when I got the opportunity to become a leader later on, I already had that experience in knowing how to speak the executive language. And as you know, Dr. Minaya, that language is very specific. That point of view is very acute to the organization needs. So I no longer was a newbie. I acquired those experiences very early on in my career. So it helped me really accelerate the way I got to different positions and different leadership opportunities.
Exciting. And as you climbed, the ranks in your career and stepped into the role of chief diversity and inclusion officer, you found yourself right overseeing multiple employee resource groups. I believe it was up to 15. What were some of the significant challenges these ERG leaders faced, and how did you and your organization help them navigate through the myriad of complexities?
When I remember that time, and as I hear you saying 15 ERGs, still cannot believe it. I still am in awe that we got to a point where we had so many ERGs functioning and moving at the same time. So my response will have two levels. I'll give you the macro level response as a chief of DE&I. Why is it important to have high functioning, high performing ERGs? But then I will also give you kind of the answer of some of the challenges that are most common among ERG leaders and what do we do to help them navigate through those challenges. So as a leader in the DNI space, you need as many people, as many champions as possible. And I cannot think of a better strategy to embed DEI into the DNA of an organization that having high functioning ERG platform and strategy. So these ERGs truly helped us access the front lines of the organization. Think about this. This is an 88,000 people organization, and you are sitting in Washington, D.C. at headquarter level. How will you be able to get access to the people? So ERGs are I'll say this, ERGs are the number one strategy to get DEI to the front line of the organization. So that's number one. You know, in my tenure, I saw ERG leaders struggle in the following areas. Number one, managing their time and attention because they had full-time jobs. They had, and let me just say, highly stressful full-time jobs. So they had to navigate the complexities of managing their priorities, managing their performance in the full-time jobs, but then at the same time, they needed to deliver as an ERG lead. So that's number one, you know, managing their time. Number two, wanting to accomplish too much too quick. That is the second challenge that I saw. Excellent intentions. They wanted to achieve certain changes and conduct several events in the year. But at the end of the day, their budgets were limited, their time was limited. So wanting to achieve too much too fast was the second challenge that I saw. And then number three was understanding their sphere of influence. Some of these challenges have been in existence for decades, particularly depending on your organization. Mine was 200 years old. So there are problems and challenges that have been festering for decades. Can you change those overnight? And it was having this understanding that this is a long term strategy rather than wanting to achieve change overnight and understanding how to manage the nuances of change was the third challenge that I saw. Now, Dr. Minaya, you may be thinking, how did we help them navigate those those complexities and those issues? And that's what I do now. That's my specialty nowadays, and that is the work that we do. I don't know if you want to go there, but we can go there if you want.
Surely, yes. I think that would be because I think now that you have not only that deep background working on internally within an organization, I'm sure we have a number of listeners that are in the government sector and maybe either on the HR side or on the ERG side. So I think your context would be helpful. But also, like, what unique issues do you see that are in the government sector that you may not see, or they're different in the corporate sector?
Yeah, as you know, there are many similarities across the management of ERGs, BRGs, across different sectors. Yet, there is a big difference that I see with my government clients, and that is the level of bureaucracy that ERG leaders have to navigate and having the patience to go through. That is the biggest difference. And let me give you an example. For us, we have to follow a tremendous number of rules and steps to even request funding for their activities. Number one. Number two, there were some extreme limitations on how that funding could be used. And number three, there were times that we didn't even have enough time to submit the requests on time to solve the challenges that they were facing. So that is the number one thing. I'll say this, is 3-4 times more difficult to be a successful ERG in government than it is in private sector. And that's a statement, but that's what I've seen.
Interesting. Interesting. So are we definitely have to give them quite a bit of accolades for stepping into those roles. And like all of us, right? Of course they're challenging roles, but we don't do it because it's gonna make you famous. You do it because there's
Mhm.
such a great need, right? To hopefully connect the dots, build a bridge, and have more of your team members, your ERG members, be able to have more productive and fruitful and successful careers.
Yeah, 100%. And a shout out to all those ERG leaders that are operating in government and serving our country in that way. Stay strong. Please continue to show up because the work that you're doing it's adding remarkable value to the careers of many.
Wow. I will have to interject here for a moment. We've covered so much already. Thank you, Guido and Joey. Joey, I'm sure our listeners will appreciate your expert insights and perspectives. I definitely want to hear more from you, so I think we'll make this a two-part series. For everyone listening in, thank you, and be on the lookout for part 2 of this episode. Until next time.